Let's look at some more. Okay, same questions that we need to ask. What is in front in our first composition? Now, I kind of see that the checkerboard pattern right here especially is cutting off these kind of bean shaped things right here too. So it looks as if this white area with these vertical wavy lines are in front of the checkerboard pattern. Although these wavy lines almost could be construed as perspective lines, like going down. And so this is like the side of, we are seeing the side of this patterned plateau. So it's a little confusing, but it's about 80% there. Moving on, so I see that this is the figure. So that means it should be the opposite over here. And yes, we have a figure or some kind of shape here and a pattern down here that it's being cut off. Notice the continuity or the closure breakup here. The issue I have with this is that I cannot see, because of the gaps that are left, I cannot see the entire shape of these drips or this undulating amorphous pattern here. Even if I try to make those out, I can't entirely fill those in. So there's some kind of resolution that needs to happen here. I think I talk about this type of resolution in one of my videos. The third composition, the middle composition, should be figure ground reversal. So we should switch between back and front. And yes, we do have both patterns that flip back and forth. We have the checkerboard pattern that's broken up, and we also have the wavy patterns. Although this time the wavy patterns are slightly bigger, thicker than the second composition over here. I think this is suffering from the same issue I had with the other one we saw with two patterns. I think there could have been a stronger resolution for this. So, 80% on the first composition, maybe a 70% on the second composition, and maybe another 75% on this third composition. Okay, guys, let's look at another one. Whenever we're given black or white without any kind of pattern or detail, it is very tough for me to figure out. Very tough for me to figure out what is on top and what is on bottom. You could make the argument that, okay, that everything dark is in shadow and therefore recedes into space, and everything light is being lit so that you can see it, so it's in front of whatever is dark. I'm not sure that that holds water, because I can still see either one of these sides, the black area, the white area, as in front or in back. So this, I think, is too simple and ineffective for me to make an intelligent decision. Therefore, I give this maybe a 70%, 60%. There just needs to be more. If I switch on to the next one and to see if we have any other kind of information to help us, I I really don't see any kind of thing that helps us. Other than that, there's the same shape here, but a different shape here. It's really very confusing to me. Um, if you have any other ways of looking at this, please share them with the class. And lastly, the middle one, again, there's just not. I think this student may have been confused, and visually, I think they're kind of interesting. This last one is interesting. It kind of takes on the shape of Mickey Mouse or a panda, but there's really nothing to glean from any of these. So, all in all, this project is around like a 70%, maybe a 65%. So, try to stay away from doing this. Let's move on. Okay, same questions. What do I see in front and what is in back? Now, I do not see. I see this patterning, but again, it's not cut off anyway visually. I can kind of see these scales or these flower petals kind of bursting forth. So that means this is the background. You might argue the other way. I mean, now I can see this is in front of these shapes. Difficult to tell. I'm going to go with my first instinct where this is the foreground. Let's move over to our last composition. That means this should be the background. And I think that this is the foreground still. Look at these cracked shapes, these fractured shapes. They're cut off right here. That's an important part right there. They're outlined a lot, or outlining this flower petal a lot, which makes me think that this flower shape is casting a shadow. I think this is a little bit more successful than our first one. Our first one visually is very striking. I like it. It's around, but effectiveness, maybe an 80%. This last composition, a lot of detail. I can tell they spent a lot of time doing this, around an 85-90 percentile. And let's see, the middle one is supposed to be confusing, so it should switch between figure and ground. Do I believe that? Well, it's covering over these circle scales, so yes, I believe that this is the figure and this is the ground. I'm not too sure whether it flips back and forth. I think maybe this student maybe got these out of order, and maybe I need to comment to make sure that you label your compositions, just so there's no confusion. All right, let's move on. Okay, again, what is in front? Okay, obviously, I see these spikes, these fire waves here in front because they are covering over the spiral concentric rings here, the spiral patterning. You know, if I had one comment that I would like for y'all to stay away from, I mean, I always tell y'all to stay away from things. One would be a spiral. There was a time when all students did were spirals, and it got to be such an annoying thing, a bad habit to go back to. So stay away from spirals. A lot of students do them. And I'm not trying to hate on spirals. I love them myself. But in this instance, let's just try to stay away from them. So we should see the opposite in the last composition. Yes, they use the spiral again. The flame waves as a theme, I think, works well, covering over the spiral. And in the middle, we should see the opposite. I see these kind of veins here coming down. I'm not sure if they're cut off. I think they're cut off, but they might be. I do like this kind of rain dripping from them, or maybe these are drops dropping down. Um, I can kind of see those as flipping between back and forth, although I do think that because these drops are here, that these veins may be on. It's tough to tell. It's tough to tell. Maybe they do flip, although not successfully, like readily and obviously. I would give this first composition maybe a 75, second composition 75, and the third composition maybe a 70, 75. So